Hey my loves, welcome back to another episode of Selfish Therapy. Today is Friday for me. You're probably gonna see this video tomorrow, which is Saturday. But just checking in. How you guys doing? How is your day? How is your week? I had a fantastic week. I will say that. I have training. So if I keep getting up, it's because I'm cooking, guys. You're gonna see this. I'm actually vlogging as well. One stone kill two bird, if that makes sense. Yeah. So but yeah, welcome back to another episode. I want to sneeze. I was doing black pepper. Another episode of Selfish Therapy. If this is your first time, welcome aboard. On this channel, we talk about any and everything self-therapy. I'm your host, Lyrae, if you don't know who I am. But yeah, if you're not ready to do the work, this may not be the channel for you. So skedaddle if you don't like to work. I'm just saying. Just playing. But yeah, so today, guys, I wanted to talk about, I'm just going to make this video a little bit more on the fun side. Nothing too crazy. I feel like I was, my last couple of videos was a little bit more on the heavier side. So I felt like, all right, make this a little bit more fun. And I hope that you guys like it. So stay tuned. So guys, today I wanted to talk about, this kind of came up the other day. I was having a conversation with somebody and I realized that sometimes, yeah, we talk about dating people. This is for the single people, okay? We talk about dating and it's like, I realize, do we even know how to date? Like, do we even know what that looks like? Yeah, we know the part of it that says, all right, let's go out. You get dressed up, you look pretty, right? And you go and you put on your best self and you go out to meet this person, right? So we know that piece of the puzzle, but my eyes been jumping, my left eye been jumping again, twitching for some time now. But anyway, but yeah, it's like going out, the typical thing is going out to dinner and then talking. But then in the midst of the conversation, it's almost like, what do you talk about? It's hard. And I don't know, maybe it's me. It's hard to have have a conversation with a stranger, like about like small, because I'm just not big on small talk. I don't know what it is, but for me, having a conversation about certain things, just talking about the weather and, it does nothing for me. And I feel like it's like a filler and just waste to get to the real thing. So, but I also understand the necessity of having a soft approach, and sometimes that requires small talk before you get into the deeper talk, right? If that makes sense. So it's almost like, how do we break that ice? I know it's different for everybody. Everybody don't have the same challenges or the same approach. And I also know the connection also has a lot to do with it, because then when you're connected to a person certain kind of way, the conversation will flow a lot smoother than, if you're not, if that makes sense. So let's talk about the times where it's kind of like awkward, because you want to get to know this person, a majority of the time, or not majority of the time, but sometimes people are closed off when they meet somebody new, because that's just their natural way of coping. That's their natural way of handling it. Like, you don't just open up and let people in. And then there are others that don't have problem to just open up in all sorts of ways. They just bust wide open. They talk about everything, and then everything is like, there's no, no filter. Sorry, but it's the truth, right? It's the truth. So I'm talking about for those people who struggle a little bit, like myself, who struggle to have certain conversations. And not only that, sometimes the other person that you're on the date with is probably more open to talking and is asking certain questions, but because you are closed off, it's kind of like, it makes it very awkward. So what I did was I did a little bit of research online to ask what are some of the great questions or topics that you could ask or talk about when you go out on a date for the first time, or you're meeting somebody for the first time. And let me tell you something. Let me read them. Anyway, number 1 says, what is your favorite way to spend a day? I think that's okay. I think that's a way of getting into, kind of like open up the doors to know or understand who you're dealing with. What are their likes? What are some of the things that they enjoy doing? Possibly could use that idea to kind of like plan your next date if there's another one. So I get that question. And it's also, you know, I think a lot of these questions are used as icebreakers, while some of them feel, I feel like it's just not necessary, right? Or what's the purpose of it? But anyway, we'll get into that. So yeah, so that was the first one. What's your favorite way to spend your day? I think it's a great one to ask. Another one is, what type of music are you into? To me, that's a great question for a person that's into music, like me. That would be a good question for me. I don't think it's necessary, but I don't think it's a bad question either. Oh, there's no bad question, but I don't think anything is wrong with asking that question either, because, you know, but you gotta read who you're dealing with. Like, you know what I mean? But there's twofold, because this is the opportunity in getting to know the person. So how would you know if you don't ask the question, right? And a simple answer could be, I'm just not into music like that. So I think that would be a good question for somebody that's into music. Number 3 says, what was the best vacation you ever took and why? To me, it's an okay question. I probably wouldn't ask that unless we're talking about, you know, it probably came up. We talk about travels, you know, we're talking about travel because I'm a person that likes to travel. So yeah, maybe that's a way to segue into that, but I don't know. The next one is, I think it ties into number 3, where it says, where is the next place in your travel bucket list and why? Which I do think that's a good question. So you're getting to know somebody, especially somebody that's interested in traveling as well. I think it's, you know what I mean? It's kind of like it says, it's a bucket list, something on the list, something to make a mental note that just in case you guys are planning on traveling sometime in the future. So at least you have an idea. It could be a surprise, so now you already know, right? So I think that's a good question to ask. If you are into that kind of stuff. Number 5 is, what are your hobbies and how did you get into them? First, I hate the word hobbies. I don't know why. It just reminds me of primary school. Maybe it's just me, but I get it. I understand what it means. Anyways, yeah. So what are some of the things that you like to do? It's one of those blah questions for me. I get it. I understand. It just is very, I guess, cliche for me. I don't know. But yeah, I get it. Number 6 says, what is your favorite age growing up? People have that. People talk about like I know, don't get me wrong. I know that, you know, we go through different stages in our lives, and, you know, as a child, you're probably like a specific time, but people like really sit on that, like, for real? Like, okay, moving on. That's the ice maker, guys, if you hear the noise in the background. But yeah, so moving on to the next question, because I don't think that would be a question to ask, and I don't know how to react if somebody asked me that question, or how to respond to that, really, because nobody really thinks about that. Well, maybe it's me. Most of these questions is not something that I would probably ask, only because I get into, I don't know, I'm more concerned about, I tend to get into a therapy session. I don't know why. I need help. Anyways, so number 7 says, what was the last thing that you read? I guess if I read the newspaper or an article, I probably, you know, it's, I don't know. And it's probably going to be like, so what's the article about? And then what are your thoughts on what the article is like? It's just too much down the rabbit hole. I don't know if I like that question too much. But if you are readers and you're bonding over, you know, probably books or certain topics, I feel like that would be a great question for those type of people. But for me, I mean, I read, don't get me wrong. I have books that I read, but I don't think on a first date that's something that I would have a conversation about, like I said. I just don't see it. Could be wrong, but I don't see it. It says, what was the, no, sorry. It says, would you say you're more of an extrovert or an introvert? Well, that's a great question because I feel like, but again, over time you'll know. And I think people still struggle with defining what they are. And some people don't realize that you could actually be both. They could be more of one than the other. I get it. I think it's kind of like it's like a great way of, like a mini introduction, right? To who you are. What do you think about yourself? So I think that's a good question. Obviously, you might say you're an introvert and you're just nothing like an introvert, or you're both. We know that could change, but that's like a topic that could be built up on, and I mean I like that. So that's a good one to me. All right. Next up is what was the last TV show you watched? What? I don't know. That's just. Unless you're a show, that's so. I feel like unless you're a person that's into, and I watch TV, but that's not something I'm not gonna. I don't know. But are you into podcasts or do you only listen to music? So that would be a great question for me, and a conversation I feel like gives me a little bit of leeway to kind of build upon the conversation to explain what my podcast is about, why I choose to do it. That kind of gives a little bit more insight on who I am, and even the same thing with the music. But I don't think that question will work for anybody, any and everybody, right? Because not everybody's into that stuff. And I give you a couple more because this list is extensive, and I just don't. The video is going to be super long if I go through them. I could just read through some of them without giving pointers on them. But anyway, so number 12 says, do you have a favorite holiday? Why or why not? I guess this is for people who are excited about Christmas and Thanksgiving. I'm not. So, all right, moving on. Next up, this one says, if you could only eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be? People ask them question up on a first date. Am I bugging? Maybe I need help. I don't know. Because, wow. Anyways, do you like going to the movies or prefer watching at home? That's a great question. I feel like that helps you to determine, are you a homebody type of am I dealing with a homebody type of a person? Somebody that prefers to go out more, somebody that's more balanced, and you know what I mean? So I think that's a great way to kind of get to know the person. What's your go-to guilty pleasure? You're too fast. First date? No, ask me that question. Because if it's food, chocolate, then I'm just telling you I'm fat. Like, no, I'm playing. I'm playing. But on a more serious note, sometimes it's something as simple somebody could tell you out of the spot. But sometimes people guilty pleasure, they can't tell you. They don't want to share. They're not comfortable to share that with you. So I'm just saying, you know, that's one of those questions that could be taken either or. Anyway. Now, how old were you when you had your first celebrity crush? No, if you ask me that, if you ever ask me that question, we got a problem. I'm gonna look at you like, what? Celebrity crush? How old are we? No. What's one thing that can instantly make your day better? I think that's a good little icebreaker. But yeah, I think that's a good little icebreaker. Do you have any pet peeves? I do. One of them is people asking me foolishness and small talk, like I don't know what it is about small talk and all that. But here this one now, 19. Which meal is your favorite? Breakfast, lunch, or dinner? Why? Oh my gosh. What song always gets you out on the dance floor? None. What activity instantly calms you down? I don't know. I guess, sleep. I don't know. Ideally, how would you spend your birthday? That's a great question, I believe. Kind of tells you what type of person you're dealing with. What do you do on your commute to and from work? Mine boring. Read a book. Sometimes scroll on the phone. I don't know, little things. What's your favorite season and why? that seems like the same thing as your favorite holiday, because I know that's where you're getting at. What's the phone app you use the most? What? You know what? 2 more questions and then we're done. Because this I get out of control. It says, would you rather cook or order in? I mean, that's a great question. I get it. People different. That's a great little chit chatty or small talk question. And then finally, bro, what's your favorite board game? I don't think this is for couples, like the type of relationship I look from. I don't know. But anyway, I'm gonna stop there, guys. This is a lot of questions, and I might share the rest of them on my Instagram. But yeah, that was just, I don't know if it's me. I'm still left in the dark as to what we talk about. So I kind of Googled that. That's what came up. I felt like, let me just share it with you guys. But I will tell you this, I'm still at square one. So there's a lot more digging and research that I still have to do to see if I could come up with something more substantial. I feel like these were just off the top questions, but I'll talk about something probably on the deeper end. Anyways, I hope that you guys like this video, enjoy it. I know I was being silly around, but that's just the facts. That's what I didn't want to do something very heavy today. I don't want to get into a heavy topic. I felt like something light just to lighten up the mood a little bit would have been good. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you do, please leave me a thumbs up. Do not forget to subscribe and turn on your post notification bell to be notified for new content. Also, if you like the video, leave that thumbs up and drop a comment below. Let me hear what your thoughts are. What would be a great question to ask on a first date? Because your girl is, she's just not a dater. She's struggling out here, okay? I don't know what to talk to them about. So help me out. But with that said, guys, I am gonna love you guys and leave you until the next episode. And I will see you. Peace out and bye for now.